Welcome to the Sack Stats Podcast. Pam Maldonado, joined by my girl, Kelly in Vegas for another week of NFL. We are bringing you 5 against the spread contest picks in the NFL. Kelly, we had a huge bounce back last week. We went 3-2 after going a terrible 1-4, but we had to bounce back. We were actually 2 plays away from a 5-0. You remember those plays?
No, because I went 4-1 in my contest picks, so I'm just relishing in that. In the newspaper at the Westgate, it is what it is. I just need to see some wins in the NFL because this year has started off just so frustrating.
Well, our 2 plays that we could have, this is like it's the NFL and it's a game of inches. It's a game of 1 plays that can make or break you. We had a 3-2 to finish out the week. We could have actually been potentially 5-0. One of the plays was the red zone interception by my best bet, which was backing the Raiders with a backup quarterback, even after Jimmy G was announced out to the Chargers. Red zone interception, that was done and dusted. And the other play was the one that you texted me. We were so close to having a 4-0 going into the Chargers Raiders game because the Panthers had a goal line stop when they were going for it on 4th down that could have put them in contention right there to come out with the win as well. So that's all she wrote. That is how the NFL goes sometimes, but I'm happy that we had a 1-4 and we were able to bounce back the following week.
That is something to build on. I blocked out that Panthers loss out of my memory. There is no reason why the Vikings should have even won that game. And as far as the Raiders Chargers go, can we just start agreeing that maybe we're just done betting these garbage coaches? Both of those coaches are horrendous. Raiders had a shot to win that one, absolutely, even with the backup quarterback. Terrible play calling. You can't run 6 pass plays with a rookie quarterback. You just don't do things like that. Josh McDaniels.
Up tempo. They were rushing. You were going so fast. With so much, there's still enough time on the clock where, hey, just slow down a little bit. Get your bearings back together. You have a rookie, you have a quarterback right now, backup quarterback in his first game, in a rookie. Come on, slow it down. Had they just stopped, breathed a little bit, we could have been having a different talk right now.
Did you see the fan on Instagram berating Mark Davis to fire Josh McDaniels? I was that fan. I'm like, yes, at the Chargers Stadium, just you need to fire him. Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. It was very frustrating. I did agree with you that I thought the Raiders were the side. I got bad information, too, that Jimmy G would be playing. So that probably didn't help things.
Well, that recaps last week. Let's move it on into a new week of the NFL. Just a reminder of what it is that we are doing. We are putting together 5 against the spread contest picks in the NFL. These are set lines that are released every Wednesday. The line does not move. Automatically in is Kelly's best bet, which are 1-3 on the season. Automatically in are my best bet, which is now 2-1. What was it? 1-3, 2-2 on the season. And then together we are coming up with the other 3. It's been a little bit difficult trying to find things that we agree on, but this week I think we may actually be in step and step here. So talk about your best bet, which I'm fully on board with. What is it?
Yeah, Pam, I'm on the Rams. Look, I think this Rams team is having a lot of fun, and that's important, right? So last year, just completely abysmal. But this year, I think the expectation level was so low. Obviously, Cooper Kupp was hurt early. Now he may be coming back, but you've got all these fun weapons that are super young. You've got Puka, you got Tutu, you got Kyron Williams. I think they're having a great time out there. Now, I will say this. We've got to be able to protect Matthew Stafford, right? If you remember at the beginning of the season, he's like, I can't relate to all these guys. Well, Matthew Stafford's old like me. You cannot be getting sacked 6 times like he did in the Bengals game. So I expect a nice little bounce back here. I do think Philly has a nice pass rush. That is not up for debate. And I got a little grief about my Bucks pick, but I still stand behind it. And that's the same reason why I like the Rams tonight. And that is because I do not think this is the same Eagles team we saw in the Super Bowl, right? The offense is very versatile, but Jalen Hurts is being forced to make mistakes. He threw 2 picks in that Bucks game, and had the Bucks offense been this Rams offense, I think that final score would have been a lot more different. They are off a battle with the Commanders. Those divisional games, teams really get beat up, particularly going to overtime, right? So I do think that Philly has a solid defense. I expect this to be a lower scoring game, which makes the points even more appealing here. I like the Rams to get the win here at home. While it's going to be, I mean, come on, whether it's the Rams, whether it's the Chargers, we know it's going to be absolutely loaded with Philly fans. Like, that's just what happens when you play a game in LA. But we'll see. Stafford finally seems to kind of be moving on from that elbow injury. Again, solid defense. I really think that they're going to be able to get the ball in Cooper Kupp's hands. We're going to see some double team maybe on Puka or vice versa and open up that offense.
Mhm. So I'm in full agreement with you here. I actually texted you that when you told me that your best bet was the Rams, I was like, oh my God, me too. You and I don't think in 2 seasons that we've been doing this, I don't think you and I have maybe like once had the same best bet. So I really do
Maybe?
love the Rams as well. Uh huh.
I think maybe once we've had the same best bet.
Maybe once, like, it just never happens, and, yeah, so the fact that we're both on it, love that. I am gonna pivot to another best bet just to keep 2 best bets different, but I am in full agreement with the Rams, and actually, I know how we remember how in the preseason, you and I talked about how we're only going to wager on our best bets. Well, this week I'm gonna have 2 wagers. One of them is gonna be the Rams plus 4.5 at the Eagles. The line is still as such. And just kind of tag along of what you said, there's 2 areas that the Rams can exploit the Philadelphia team. 1, you attack the defense downfield, and 2, in touchdowns allowed. Now the Philadelphia defense, they're allowing the highest rate of yardage via passing. Stafford, there's 3 or 4 of the games he has either had 300 plus yards passing or 8 yards per pass attempt. He has been improving on his game, even though you're talking about his shoulder, maybe his elbow injury, maybe he's recovered from that. But his connection with Puka Nakua has been absolutely just like amazing to watch. He's had the most targets, second most receiving yards. To me, this is another version of Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins 2.0. He's got the speed, he's got the breakaway speed. He's tied for thirds for yard after the catch. He is fast and he is so good. Philadelphia defense problem number 2. They've allowed 14 scores this season. 9 have been passing touchdowns. This is my one concern. Stafford only has 3 on the season. There's been question marks that he has a hip injury, so maybe that's helping, kind of limiting him a little bit with like rotational passes. I'm not sure when you get into the end zone, but their scoring production has come from rushing scores. He has had 1 in each of the last 3 games. This is an opportunity for Stafford to kind of exploit that defense from Philadelphia that is just giving away pass happy touchdowns. So I'm in full agreement with you that the Rams would be the side. I also agree that I do like the under on this. So I love that you and I are in agreement. The best bet that I'm going to go with is the one that I was trying to fight you on for Survivor. I'm a little bit more risk averse. I got to say it. Like I'm a little bit more risky. Cardinals plus 3 at the Bengals. The Arizona defense is just like, my God, scrappy. I mean, they are, to me, the best losing team in the NFL. In 4 games, they are generating sacks. They have 4 interceptions in 3 games. They have more quarterback pressures, especially when they are at home. Burrow, you're talking about maybe the Eagles aren't exactly the same offense that we have seen. What's Burrow? He's kind of a shell of who he typically is. Every passing metric for Joe Burrow, he's ranked somewhere in the bottom. 3rd most pass attempts in the league, yet Burrow has only 2 passing touchdowns. He's 34th in yards per pass attempt, 30th in true completion percentage. Even in fantasy, for people who play fantasy, I don't play fantasy, but I know not to play him because he's 34th in fantasy points. Burrow cannot throw a deep ball to save his life. He's uncharacteristically inaccurate. On throws of 10 plus yards, he's 11 of 38. That's 28.9% and 2 interceptions. The Arizona defense, scrappy as heck. 321 yards from Daniel Jones. They were up 28-7. They should not have lost that game. They've since kind of rebounded this. But the matchup that I like specifically is running back James Conner plus quarterback Josh Dobbs against the Bengals' run defense. Conner is 5th in yards after contact. He's 3rd for having the most runs of 10 plus yards, behind my boy Bijan Robinson and Christian McCaffrey. Tied for the 2nd most design runs of 15 plus yards. Conner is not a flashy running back, but he produces, and that's what I'm looking for when you can exploit a run defense as susceptible as the Bengals. Cincinnati defense, 29th for allowing runs of 5 plus yards. Even King Henry, people were talking about maybe he's just getting too old. He's 29. He's just not the same running back that we're used to seeing. Just had the best production of the season against the Bengals. 122 rushing yards, 5.5 yards per carry. This is going to be the James Conner, Josh Dobbs show against the Bengals defense. I was trying to get you on Cardinals for Survivor.
No.
Of course, it was a no. But
you're not going to get me not when there's teams like the Dolphins and the Lions and the Commanders that are available to us. Now, it'd be completely different if this was like week 11 and we thought that the Cardinals had something to really play for. Look, this team, Pam, I agree with you. I like the +3. I also could argue, and this is somebody who owns, as you will, in fantasy, call it, Joe Burrow. And I begged my teammates not to draft him, and they did. And now he's been sitting on our bench after he cost us a win week 1, and nobody listened to me. But that's a whole nother argument here. He's hurt. Bottom line, he has a terrible offensive line, all the weapons in the world, and this man cannot get anything done. It sucks. I feel bad for Bengals fans. Now, do I think things are going to start to change for them? Is there going to be a shift? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen this weekend? No. I will say this, the look ahead line back in August, 7.5. So you could say this is a buy low on the Bengals, but this is the team I want nothing to do with, Pam. Zero. You have a Cardinals team who's kind of, for lack of better words, playing with house money here, right? This team could easily be 3-1, but they're 1-3. No one told them they were supposed to be tanking, and they sure as hell aren't playing like it. So I'm with you. I do like the Cardinals here, especially at home. My one caveat and a big reason why I did not want to use them for Survivor, they're off that hard-fought loss to the Niners that the Niners ultimately ended up pulling away there at the end. And then they play the Rams next week. Those divisional types of sandwich spots can allow for flat spots. Now, your your rebuttal, I guess is the right word, was, yeah, but this is a Cardinals team that just wants to get a win, right? They just want to get a win ahead of them. I would agree with that.
Yeah, my
So I'm
question
kind of
was, do those
discrediting the
sandwich
sandwich
spots
spot.
matter when you're 1-3?
No, I don't know if they do. You're right. This team does just want to get a win. I think that this defense for the Bengals also is really suspect. We'll see. We'll see if things don't come to fruition here. I like Josh Dobbs again. This guy didn't even have a jersey in the pro shop 2 weeks ago. So we'll see how they are. 3-1 against the spread. I like the 3. I could see this game being like a 21-20 final either way.
Another question that I have for you in relation to what you mentioned was the look ahead the look ahead lines. How much weight do you put into that? Because you said the look ahead line was 7.5 and it is now 3. Buy low on the Bengals. That's definitely not something that I utilize in my handicapping. Should I worry? Should we worry?
No, I don't think so. So one thing I do is a show with a bookmaker there in Las Vegas, and he talks about how soft some of those lines are from the summer, right? So I'm actually using that line from August. That was before we knew how hurt Burrow was. That was before the Bengals lost last week to the Titans. That look ahead line was actually -4. So I don't think it's actually that much of a buy low spot, but that was just me referencing more or less how far the Bengals have dropped over the last 5 weeks.
Hmm. Yeah, and especially, I mean, like for the Cardinals, I wrote a preseason article that said I want to fade the Cardinals against the spread, and here they are,
You did?
one of the best teams
In
against the
my
spread.
Cardinals video, I said, you guys are going to hate me, but I'm going to be betting on the Cardinals a lot. Those types of teams that get that negative media hype to start the year, that everybody says they're tanking. Well, the ownership might want you to tank. The coaching staff might want you to tank, but that does not mean there are not pro bowlers on that team, either looking for new homes, starting positions. I mean,
Contracts,
they're still an
pensions.
NFL team. They still have incentives and their contracts they need to hit. So,
Yeah.
nobody told the Cardinals they weren't supposed to beat the Cowboys, as 12.5 point underdogs.
Well, then those are our two best bets. Automatically in is the Rams +4.5 to the Eagles. That's Kelly's best bet. Automatically in is the Cardinals +3 against the Bengals. That's my best bet. And once again, Kelly and I did, of course, agree on the Rams +4.5. That was my best bet, and then I pivoted to the Cardinals as well because those are the two that I will be betting this weekend. Now, to talk about some of the games that, honestly, I did not love a lot. There's nothing that
Me
I was
either.
like, oh, I feel so strong about this, or you know what? Yeah, this is pretty good. Let me entice you on one. I pivoted to the team that I know best. They've kind of become my NFL team. I love the Jags. I love my Jags. I can't bet on them or against them. They're just so inconsistent. How about Lions -9.5 against the Panthers? Let me see if I can get talk. Detroit. To me, this is the most complete team that we have right now in the NFL. That offense. They have a quarterback in Jared Goff, who's 4th best in the league for yards per pass attempt, top 10 for completion percentage. They have a running back in David Montgomery, 9th in yards after contact. When you put him together with Jameer Gibbs, they are both top 10 for run plays of 15 plus yards. Wide receiver, you're talking about like they have it at every position. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, tight end, Sam Laporta, both are graded top 15 or according to PFF for receiving grades. That's just on offense. On defense for the Lions. Defensive end, Aiden Hutchinson, he leads in total pressures. That run defense is what I am so impressed with the Lions. I am such a fan. They have the lowest rate allowed of run plays to gain 5+ yards. This is why I backed this. It was the run defense initially why I was fading them against the Falcons because I was expecting Bijan Robinson to have himself a hell of a day. They impressed consistently week after week. The Lions are showing that they have improved on their run defense, which was one of the worst last year in the 2022 season. Now they held Bijan Robinson to 33 total yards, 11 long. Robinson is second in the league for the most runs of 10+ yards. They held Aaron Jones to 18 yards. Now you're talking about that's the defense. That's the Lions. Bryce Young, he can't pass. He's last in yards per pass attempt. The Panthers defense, they can defend. They're allowing the highest rate of rush attempts to gain 5+ yards. Carolina gave up 24 and 37 points on the road to Atlanta and Seattle. Now you're getting the Lions, who are really good at home. This is Jared Goff's like comfort spot. If there was any team that I would actually trust to cover a big spread, honestly, it's the Lions.
Yeah, I don't care that it's super square either, Pam, because let's see, the Carolina defense is injured, right? They have a terrible offensive line. So no wonder Bryce Young can't even try to live up to expectations because he's running for his life. They have no rushing attack. Of course, they're 0-3-1 against the spread. I thought last week they had a real opportunity to turn a corner and they couldn't get it done. They're staring at 0-6, right? Going into week 7 bye week. Teams going into their bye week just want to get a win. We know that almost 60% of the time they get at least a cover. I don't know if this is one of them. Frank Reich, historically, in my Panthers preview, I mentioned this. I said his teams historically have slow starts. And boy, oh boy, has the Carolina Panthers just been so abysmal. Plus, Lions, are they getting back Jamison Williams this week? I heard through the rumor mill he might be coming back early from suspension. So, look, they really held that Packers team on Thursday night. I got to watch most of that game, even though I was at a rehearsal dinner. 27 yards rushing on 12 attempts. This is a lockdown defense. I don't hate the Lions in this spot.
So would you want to plug it in or keep it on the back burner in case we don't have other options?
I mean, let's put on the list, Pam. We can run through some other games. I'm going to be honest with you. I only bet 2 games this week. One I know that you're going to hate, and then the Rams, but we can go over that as well. But I am not opposed to laying it with the Lions here at home.
Okay, so that would be the other game that I loved. What's one game that you love? Not named best bet.
I laid one with the Falcons early. I know you're going to hate that. Listen, CJ Stroud, let's go. I have been his champion since he went into Jacksonville and beat your Jags for me. That was wonderful. And I know Desmond Ridder is not a quarterback that I want to back, but that's on the road.
He's Zach Wilson.
Right now.
He's worse.
I don't think Zach Wilson's that bad. I would actually rather have
just
Zach
because
Wilson.
he had one good game. If that guy almost got canceled, so I'm a shush. But I mean, Zach Wilson has one good game in 2 seasons.
Listen,
we have yet to see a good game from Desmond Ridder.
Yeah, and that's factual, right? I just think CJ Stroud catching points here on the road seems a little trappy. Early money joined me with the Falcons. Look, they looked good last week, right? He hasn't thrown an interception, 280 yards yet again. They just absolutely destroyed Pittsburgh. And what did the Falcons do? They looked just downright awful in Jacksonville, right? So it's something to keep in mind. Atlanta, just not one of those teams that when they play on the road are very good. But back in the dome, they kind of start to get things clicking. I don't love this spot. It was a sharp play. I tailed it. Trust me, it's more of a buck the popular team right now. And I'll be honest with you, that hasn't worked out very well here in the NFL. But I did bet it, so I got to kind of stick with that. But wow, Zach Wilson, that was really mean, Pam.
What, that Desmond Ridder is just as bad? These are the 2 worst. These are 2 of the worst
Ritter's
quarterbacks
way worse than Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's a way better quarterback than Desmond Ridder. That's the unfortunate part. I do think this is a really interesting Falcons squad, though, right? And we'll have to see how well Arthur Smith can really get this team going, if he can at all. Just look, if you saw what happened in that game, Jags took an early 17-0 lead, right? And it was all she wrote. And this team had a kind of chance to come back, but you can't win games kicking field goals, even though they do have one of the best field goal kickers in the league. Bijan Robinson, let's see if they can't get this running game going here against Houston. Also, a couple guys banged up. We'll see if Cordell Patterson will be back, because if he will, that will help things immensely.
So here's the problem. I'm
No,
looking
I
at
know
like,
you like the
sorry, I'm
Texans. It's
looking a little
okay.
confused. Here's the problem. You and I always said that if we're opposite, we're just going to completely skip it. And I
Yep,
am
we
opposite. I
should.
do like Houston because I believe in CJ Stroud. So I'm not going to try to come back with a rebuttal as to why I like it because we're not trying to convince each other here.
Yep.
I
Skip.
I hear your case though, and your case like there's logic behind it. I'm not entirely now. I'm just like I don't want to touch it because I initially liked Texans, but now you're like, I'm a little
How come
confused on
you don't want to
maybe
look
why I
at your
like the Falcons now.
Jags? Can you tell me that? Why
Um,
don't you want to look at this Jags team? Nice. They finally
because
got a nice win, right?
Trevor Lawrence has
Well, he
underproduced all
has.
season long. We have
He
not
has
seen
only
a
averaged
version
one
of Trevor
touchdown pass a
Lawrence for the
game, which
2022 season.
sucks. Yes.
And
But would you
and we
say
just saw with the only literally this is the only reason why I have to back the Jags is because they are London darlings. That's literally the only reason. And the Bills
well,
are traveling over there
right,
for
and the
what? Have
Jags
they
got
ever
to
been to
stay.
London?
No, they have not.
The
But the
Jags got to
Jags
stay there.
got to stay. Does
Yep.
benefit them, right? Of
Yep.
course, right? And I do think that Buffalo, as you mentioned before we started, or maybe you did say it on the show when we were talking about my best bet last week that was Buffalo, and you were like, oh God, I kind of lean towards Miami, rightfully so, what Miami did the last week. I think the Bills looked
Mhm.
really good, right? They won 3 straight.
Against Miami.
Let's see, but they beat the Raiders and the Commanders, right? Ooh, the Dolphins, of course, by a combined 90
Mhm.
points. And that's great. But they still did lose to that same Jets defense in overtime. I kind of have to wonder here if this isn't a spot to look at Jacksonville just because there's not a lot else that we like. Jacksonville did make my long list. I did not get to the window with this team at 6, now down to 5. I just have to kind of wonder this Bills team looked a little too good uh, beating Miami.
My only worry is the only reason why I have to back the Jags is literally that London factor. That is it. There's no other reason because the
Would
Jags
you
defense
say
has made that because the Jags defense has made Anthony Richardson, Patrick Mahomes, and CJ Stroud all look like studs. And then on offense alone, I mean, they can't generate any type of rushing yards. They're only 29% of the rushing attempts have gained 5 or more yards. That's 31st in the league. They're 23rd in points scored per drive. This time last year, they were 11th. They finished the year top 10. We have not seen this offense be the 2022 version of themselves, and you have all the key parts to do it. The problem is in the quarterback situation with I mean, so if you take away London, am I backing the Jags? No way.
so? Here's my one caveat. I think the Jags overachieved last year, and the expectation level was set too high for this team. Now they're an underdog, like they were previously. They play better against better teams. I expect them to play
Right.
crappier against crappier teams because Buffalo kind of has a target on their back. I like Jacksonville as a dog. Now, again, I'm not going to get to the window because I'm really trying to show some discipline this year in the NFL because I know how tough it can be. But I might have just talked myself into the Jags.
All right. We'll table it as an option. Jaguars plus 5.5 against the Bills in London. Oh God, help us. All right. Here's another
Yes.
option. We're throwing out some option. The Titans -1 against the Colts. You cannot run on Indianapolis. They're allowing a league low 2.9 yards per rushing play. Stop the run game. You're gonna have to force rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson to drop back. And what happens? The volatility. Nobody knows. That's the whole thing about Anthony Richardson. Nobody knows what's going to happen. He has only 3 passing touchdowns. He's inconsistent. He's just looks chaotic out there. He had a 65% completion in week 1, and then he had 44% completion last week. Tennessee has only allowed 1 rushing touchdown all season long. If you take away Richardson's 4 rushing scores, what does the Indianapolis offense have? Derrick Henry is coming off his best game, build off momentum from him. So the Tennessee run game against stop Richardson, then what?
Look, what is Mike Vrabel going to do? They're going to make Anthony Richardson try to beat them in the air. And that does scare
Yes.
the crap out of me. Do I think Anthony Richardson has a ton of potential? Absolutely. But what have we seen so far? Mistakes, inaccurate throws, interceptions. That does
hmm
scare me here. This is a Colts team who has lost 7 straight games at home. They're off a tough overtime loss. I want nothing to do with the Colts.
So then would you like to plug in Titans -1?
We can
So the
pencil in the
Colts have
Titans.
lost. Yes.
I'm very adverse to laying road chalk. Laying road chalk and
One, one.
how well the Titans looked against the Bengals scares the crap out of me. Like
Well, look,
maybe we're
the
for a
Titans
good
have
Anthony
won.
Richardson game.
Granted, different teams, different coaches, whatever, but the Titans have won 5 straight games and covered all 5 games against the Colts.
Very true. And the Titans are a much better road team, 7-2-1 in their last 10 road starts. I lean the Titans with you. I get why I don't like the Colts and why you don't like the Colts. We can add it to the penciled in list. How about that?
All right, the only other one that I have is more chalk. It's the Dolphins
I'm
minus
okay with
11 against the
chalk.
Giants.
I don't want road chalk.
We ended up rolling with the Dolphins for our survivor, and I was like, honestly, that kind of scares me. Why? Because I'm like, I had to think of in what scenario can the Giants pick off the Dolphins. Literally, the only thing I came up with is it's the NFL and crazier things have happened. But there's
Correct.
no other reason other than that. The Giants offense has not scored a touchdown on 22 drives in the first half of games. You're telling me that a healthy Tua Tagovailoa with all of the offensive weapons that he has cannot put up 30 points against the Giants in the first half and then force Daniel Jones to play from behind, which we've already seen against the Cardinals. I had that money line ticket. But to replicate that game and game again, the Giants defense has 0 takeaways through 4 games. We just saw the Dolphins get absolutely manhandled by the Bills. The Giants down 22.5 against Arizona. Giants against San Francisco. Jones had 0 touchdowns, 137 yards. Healthy Tua, third best QBR when blitzed. The Giants defense blitzes at the second highest rate. This is Tua's huge bounce back spot. They could put up another 70 burger. I don't know. But if the Giants can generate pressure, the Miami now has a run game. Raheem Mostert, Devon Akane, back-to-back games rushing for 100-plus yards. Too easy?
Yeah, it's absolutely too easy. The sportsbooks are going to have to take out a loan if the Dolphins cover this game. It looks just like last Sunday, Chiefs-Jets, and it's absolutely terrifying from a survivor perspective, but we couldn't take the Lions because we got to save them for Thanksgiving. So we were kind of in a conundrum because I tried to convince you to take the Commanders, and you said, no way, the Bears win. And I hope you're wrong because I did still take the Commanders in 2 of my leagues. But you're absolutely right, Pam. I want nothing to do with a team who has yet to lead for any part of a game outside of the Cardinals game that they should have lost. This team should be 0-4. Let's see. Bad defensive line, crappy quarterback that they really overpaid for. And everybody's trying to be a Daniel Jones apologist. I have yet to see anything from Daniel Jones, who has thrown more interceptions this season, 5 weeks in, well, technically 4 weeks in as of Monday night, than he did all of last season. Okay. And then you've got a Miami team who's 13-3 in their last 16 home games. I think that they got a little bit of, probably feeling themselves after beating the Broncos. And then they got some humility getting beat by a divisional rival, the Bills, right? So they're going to come back home and they're expecting to win this game. Does that mean they're going to win by 2 touchdowns? By all means.
If you don't
I think
beat Daniel Jones by 2 touchdowns, if the Cardinals can put up 28 against the Giants and almost have that, they should have had that game sealed off. That game was done and dusted.
In
what world?
The Giants led for 19 seconds of that one. It was absolutely disgusting, and all those people got to live another week. I would not be taking this Giants team, especially on the road. Tua's got a great passer rating at home. We know exactly what this offense under Mike McDaniel is capable of. They have just
They have everything. What did the Giants have? You were talking earlier about maybe the expectations were too high for the Jags from last year. Tell me that the expectations were not as high because Daniel Jones had a near perfect season last year. And that Giants offense.
Have we noticed a trend here? Outside of Patrick Mahomes, everybody gets these massive paychecks, just sucks the next year. Look at that.
Exactly.
Look at 3 guys that got paid this year.
I mean, that is the only game The other one that I liked was, and I don't love it or like really like it. It was just like a, hey, I think this could be an option. Is the Ravens -4 against the Steelers? No, you love home divisional dogs, but
I
the
can't.
Steelers,
You can't even convince me to take the Ravens, my Super Bowl winner, and the Steelers off the most disgusting performance of the entire season to the Texans. We'll see. Kenny Pickett, bone bruise. We'll see if it's him or Mitch Trubisky. You're right. I want nothing to do with this game. So let me pivot and see if I can't convince you to lay it with Bill Belichick, the Saints.
never. Mac
You
Jones
wouldn't lay
is
1.5 at Pats against the
no,
Saints? Why? Bill Belichick
Mac Jones.
is so good in New England. Mac Jones is garbage, but we're not betting on Mac Jones. We are betting on this New England defense. We are Carr or Jameis Winston. This defense held 3. Okay, so basically we've got the Rams and the Cardinals.
Is there any other game than that one? I don't think Belichick is scary. Stop with that nonsense. He hasn't been since Tom Brady. Mac Jones cannot
Correct.
throw worth a lick. They're throwing more interceptions
looks
than
like
they
a
are
dead
passing
under
scores. They
game.
can't get downfield. They're scoring on a league low 20% of their possessions. The Patriots are 30th in points per drive, just like bad of bad.
I cannot lay it with the Broncos. I promised myself
And
after
you have
they
to
blew
score
that lead with the
touchdowns
Commanders.
against the Saints, and they're allowing the lowest rate of touchdowns in the league. This is why
Dude, that's
everything
going to
is
be
low
like a
scoring.
9-6 game, and the Patriots are going to win 9-6. It's going to be disgusting. I want no part of that over. I'll tell you that much. But that was Bill Belichick's worst loss of his career, just in case you wanted to know. So I can imagine that he is going to be very angry. Okay, let's see.
To the Chiefs,
Are you leaving me on red?
We can talk about that real quickly. I know we're kind of going over on time here because it's been a tough week. But convince me why that line is moving. It opens now 3.5. What's happening over on the Chiefs side?
Sharp money. I'm going to play it at 5.5.
All the way down to 3?
But we're getting line value in the contest. Look, Patrick Mahomes looks good, but the Chiefs are just not as explosive as everybody thought they were going to be. The Jets defense wrote the playbook. Now, Minnesota's defense is absolute hot garbage, but they made some adjustments last week against a crappy Panthers team. We know that offensively, the Vikings can keep pace with the Chiefs. Not the previous Chiefs, this year's Chiefs. They've still got Jefferson. They've got Addison. Minnesota, 1-score games. That's the name of the game. Last year, they won 11-score games. This year, they 3 1-score games. They won 1 against the Panthers. Look, the Bucks, Eagles, Chargers, 4.3 points is the average on those losses. Would they beat the Panthers by? Exactly. And the Panthers had a shot. This is the name of the game, Pam. I think this is a shot for the Vikings to actually get in here at home.
Right.
I know it sounds crazy, but all of this.
Right, here's what we'll do. We have 2 games.
Nonsense.
We literally only have our 2 best bets. Here's what we're going to do. Give me your best game that's not Houston because we're opposite.
It's Vegas now. You're going to make me get AM to watch.
And that would be, and I have no other reason.
I'm just saying. Let me find some more stuff because I was very last giveaways. That is slow down, cheat in both. Remember, we
do that. Let's do a split. We'll do Dolphins on 1, Vikings in another.
Okay, so in this one, Vikings is 4. You're right. They're 4 in both. Son of a.
So you're not really getting any value.
No, not really. I was thinking it was 4.5. Not that 4.5 and 4 and 3.5 really are that big of a difference, but they are. Woof. Pam, woof.
You know what?
All right, flip a coin. Flip a coin between, I don't want to lay it with the Dolphins. I know I sound like such like a contrarian asshole, but like I see like 92% of the tickets, and I couldn't even take the Jets last week. It's not like I'm going to bet the Giants. I did not take the Jets last week, and the Chiefs were up 17-0 early. I don't care.
I'm gonna do. Let's just trust me. Flip it.
Okay.
Flip it, but put the trust in me. And I'm gonna put this song on. It's gonna give me good vibes.
You guys, she's so ridiculous with this Instagram post.
We're going with the Titans.
It's a chicken. Okay.
Because the chicken. Because it's a fake chicken. I'm going with the chicken, and the chicken says you roll with
What does the
fading
chicken
against
have
the
to
most
do?
volatile quarterback right now. We need to put the song back
This
on.
was so
Good vibes,
hard.
man.
I tried to
This is what
talk
I
you into
thought
this,
of.
and
I put the song on, and it was the Titans that came to my voice, to my head.
what about the Raiders? We didn't talk about the Raiders. I know I said I was done betting
No.
garbage quarterbacks and
Hard.
garbage coaches. So bye.
Literally, there's nothing else. I would want to put the Bears on for tonight.
Well, you're too freaking late for that. But luckily, I know somebody. So if we want to put the Bears on for tonight, we can.
I would really want to, honestly.
What's the line? Let me look. Hold on.
The contest line is 5.5.
It's 6.
And the live line is 6.
It's 6.
Why? Because the Jag, though, if we
it's 6. It's 6 in one contest and 5.5 in the other.
I mean,
right,
I'm
fine.
just like,
if
seriously.
I call and I say put the Bears in for us in the one that has a 6, then I get the Vikings +4 in the other.
Okay.
Okay.
Done.
Okay.
So which one are we doing for this one?
Bears +6. Book it.
Wait, the contest is 5.5 for this one.
No, I'm looking right at it. Okay, it's 6 in Circa. It's 5.5 in Westgate.
So it's 5. So this one is 5. So this one will do Vikings. And for the other one, we'll do 6.
Okay, deal.
This one will be Vikings +4 to the Chiefs. Okay. And then the other contest will be Bears. I'm
going to
convinced
call
they're getting
Erin.
the first
She's
win
going to
tonight.
kill me. This is the 3rd time I've had a caller this year to play a Thursday night game at 5:45 on a Thursday.
We're already like way over. Let's do it. That's just locking it up. And the only reason why I'm going to give, we talked about it in just because we're like over on time already. One, you're talking about Washington having the worst defense right now. And that's literally it. If you are giving me Justin Fields, who shows that he is highly capable of having a passing game, I'm talking about momentum shifts. Right now, this is it. And all over Twitter, this has nothing to do with the logic. This has nothing to do with like stats, and I love stats. But everywhere on Twitter, I see how the Bears have this long losing streak, and they're going to lose again, and whatever. This is the time that you hammer the Bears because they have found their game. Justin Fields is going to run for his life. He's going to have all the rushing yards, all the passing yards, because Washington has given up
and an
most
interception,
yardage in the league.
That cost them the game so that I can still get the Commanders across the Survivor finish line, but we cover the +6. Deal. Done.
All right, so then those are our 5 contest picks for the NFL. We are doing 2 separate cards. Kelly's best bet, Rams +4.5 to the Eagles. My best bet, Cardinals +3 to the Bengals. The other 3 for this contest, Jaguars +5.5 to the Bills. Lions -9.5 against the Panthers. And for this one, Vikings +4 to the Chiefs. On the other card, we're going to do Bears +5.5 for Thursday Night Football against Washington. Those are our 5 against the spread contest picks. Kelly, we're going 5-0 in one of them. You know why? Because the chicken said so. And if Titans hits, we listen to the chicken next time.
Listen, if the Titans hits, then I don't know what to say because I just realized I used the Colts in one of my other ones. So okay, good show.
Oh my God. That does it for another. Make sure to follow Kelly on Twitter at Kelly in Vegas. Follow me on Twitter at PamelaM35. And that does it for another episode of Stack of Stacks.